All right, thanks, guys. The Raptors take on the Hornets, and that is going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off in Charlotte. Toronto's -5, totals 223. Charlotte's plus 160 on the money line. OG Anunoby is questionable for the Raptors tonight. Meanwhile, for the Charlotte Hornets, Williams and Zeller are both out. Charlotte's just 1-3 straight up in their last four. They rank 27th in offensive field goal percentage. They're shooting just 44% from the field in that category there. Meanwhile, Toronto on the other side, they rank 5th in road scoring and 5th in road defensive field goal percentage. They're holding their opponents to just 45% from the field when traveling. Now, total-wise, Toronto's 2-1 to the over in their last three, 7-3 to the over in their last 10. Give me Toronto -5 and the over 223 in that matchup there. And before we go ahead and move on, just want to take a quick timeout and welcome you to the show. Happy Friday. The weekend is finally here. Thank God. Man, work sucks. But anyway, before we go ahead and continue, I just want to quickly remind you to check me out on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage. Take advantage of the free content there. We also do picks and different memberships and packages. Might want to hold off on the packages. Going through a little bit of a rough spell. So just check out the free content, but make sure you check me out at patreon.com/BrockPage. Link is in the description section below. And if you are a current patron of mine and you're powering through a string of a couple losses here, I cannot thank you enough. You most certainly make it all worth it. All right, let's go ahead and hop back into some more lines and personal leans. All starts Eastern Standard Time. And on deck, we've got Hawks, Magic, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off in Orlando. The Magic opened the betting as the 7.5-point favorite. Total at 226. Not a whole lot of movement on the total, although we did see steady action on Orlando in the early going here. Not real surprised about that. Could see this one close at 9. But anyway, Orlando opened 7.5 up to 8.5. Total remains at 226. 56% are leaning Atlanta. 51% shaded toward the over. Right now, Atlanta's plus 305 on the money line. Now for the Hawks, we have Bazemore, Herter, both doubtful for tonight's action. The Hawks are also just 12-27 straight up away from home. They rank dead last in points allowed, just giving up a whole bunch of points to anyone and everyone. Now Orlando ranks 5th in points allowed. They are also 24-17 against the spread on their home court. And when it comes to the total, Orlando's just 33% to the over at the current total. I'm going to purchase the 0.5 point, slide it down, and take Orlando -8 and the under 226 in that matchup there. Next game, Spurs, Wizards. And that is going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off in the nation's capital. The Spurs open 5.5 up to -6. Totals 227. 63% are leaning San Antonio. 58% shaded toward the under. Right now, the Wizards are plus 200 at home. Washington is 22-17 straight up at home this year. 23-16 against the spread in that same category. Meanwhile, San Antonio, not so good against the number as of late. 0-5 against the spread in their last 5. They're also failing to cover in 7 out of their last 8 ball games. Bellinelli is questionable for the Spurs. Meanwhile, for Washington, Jeff Green is probable. Jabari Parker is listed as out for tonight's action. Now, total-wise, Washington is 3-1 to the over in their last 4. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lean toward the home dog in this one. I think San Antonio should pull it out in the outright game, but I like Washington to cover that number. So give me the Washington Wizards +6 and the over 227 in that matchup there. Next game, Pistons, Thunder. Let me just make a note on that. Washington +6. Forgot to write down a pick on there. All right, next game. What do we have here? Pistons, Thunder. And that's going to be an 8 o'clock tip-off in Oklahoma City. Thunder open as the 10-point favorite, total with 215. And since those markets opened this one up, we're seeing movement upward on both the spread and the total. 10.5 and 215 and a hook. So once again, the Thunder open -10 up to -10.5. Total open 215 up to 215 and a hook. Right now, Detroit's +440 on the money line. Blake Griffin, questionable for tonight's action for the Pistons. Kennard is listed as probable. Now for OKC on the other side, Roberson's still out indefinitely. OKC's failed to cover in 7 out of their last 10. They also rank 28th in offensive free throw percentage. They're 23rd in defensive rebounding. Meanwhile, the Pistons on the other side are 6th in defensive rebounding. They're also 7th in road points allowed. Now, total-wise, Detroit is 60% to the over in their last 10. OKC's 5-3 to the over in their last 8. Purchased a half a point, slide it down, and I'm going to take OKC -10 and the over 215.5 in that matchup there. Next game, Heat, Timberwolves, 8 o'clock Eastern tip-off in Minnesota. Miami open -1.5, total 216.5. We're seeing movement upward on the spread in the total, 2.5 and 217 and a hook. So once again, the Heat open 1.5 up to -2.5, total open 216.5 up to 217 and a hook. 61% are leaning Miami, 66% shaded toward the over. Right now, Minnesota's +115 on the money line. Waiters is questionable for the Heat. Gibson is listed as out for Minnesota. Minnesota's 24-14 straight up at home. Their offense is putting up 115 points per contest on average on their home court. Miami ranks dead last in free throw percentage. They're 26th in scoring, and they've covered just 3 out of their last 7. Total-wise, Minnesota's 22-16 to the over at home. Give me Minnesota +3 after buying the hook, and the over 217.5 in that matchup there. Celtics, Pacers. Celtics, Pacers. 8 o'clock Eastern tip-off in Indiana. Good old-fashioned flip of the lines in this one. Indiana open +1.5, total 214.5. And since those markets opened this one up, good old-fashioned flip of the lines in this one. Indiana's now -1.5, total moved up to 215. So once again, the Pacers open +1.5 up to -1.5, totals 215. 57% are leaning Boston, 66% shaded toward the over. Right now, the Celtics are -105 on the money line. Horford's probable, Brown is doubtful, Morris is out for Boston. Matthews and Collison questionable for Indiana. The Pacers rank first in points allowed, 4th in defensive rebounding. The Pacers are also 2nd in home defensive field goal percentage at 43%. Boston 24th in road offensive rebounding. They're covering just 16 out of their last 39 away from home. When it comes to the total, Boston 60% to the over in their last 10. Indiana 3-1 to the over in their last 4. Give me the Pacers -1 after buying the hook and the over 215 in that matchup there. Next game, Knicks, Rockets. 8 o'clock tip-off in Houston. Houston opened 17, total 219.5, seeing movement downward on the spread and upward on the total, 16.5 and 220 and a hook. Once again, Houston opened -17, down to -16.5, total open 219.5, up to 220 and a hook. The Knicks are +1350 on the money line. Vonleh is out. Smith and Trier are questionable for the Knicks. They're just 2-8 straight up in their last 10, 15-63 straight up overall for the year. Houston on the other side, 29-10 straight up at home, 23-16 against the spread in that same category. When it comes to total, Houston's 2-0 to the over in their last 2. New York 6-3 to the over in their last 9. Purchased a half a point, slide it down. I'm taking Houston -16 and the over 220.5 in that matchup there. Next game, Grizzlies, Mavericks, 8:30 Eastern tip-off in Dallas. Dallas opened 3.5, total 219 and a hook. Movement upward on the spread and the total up to 4 and 220. Once again, the Mavs open 3.5 up to -4. Total open 219.5 up to 220. Memphis is +150 on the money line. Noah and Conley are both questionable for the Grizzlies. Meanwhile, for Dallas, we have Powell, Finney-Smith, Brunson, Doncic, all questionable for the Mavs. Dallas is 5-3 ATS in their last 8. They rank 7th in home defensive rebounding. Memphis on the other side ranks dead last in scoring and 2nd to last in offensive rebounding. Now total-wise, Dallas is 5-2 to the under in their last 7. Give me the Mavericks -4 and the under 220 in that matchup there. Next game, Kings, Jazz, 9 o'clock Utah. The Jazz open 10.5, total 223 and a hook. Movement downward on the spread and upward on the total, -10 and 224. Once again, Utah open 10.5 down to -10. Total open 223.5 up to 224. Sacramento's +405 on the money line. Corver and Favors are out for Utah. Rubio and Crowder questionable for Utah. They're also just 1-3 against the spread in their last 4. They rank 26th in home free throw percentage. Sacramento on the other side is third in defending the 3-ball on the road and third shooting the 3-ball on the road. Give me Sacramento +10 in the over 224 in that matchup there. Next game, Pels, Suns, 10 o'clock Phoenix. The Pels open -1, total 234. Not a whole lot of movement in this one. Just a little bit downward on the total, down to 233.5. Once again, New Orleans is -1, total open 234, down to 233.5. Phoenix is -105 on the money line. Anthony Davis questionable as always for the Pelicans. Miller still out indefinitely for New Orleans as well. Meanwhile, for Phoenix, DeAndre Ayton, he is listed as out for tonight's action. The Suns also ranked dead last in offensive rebounding and dead last in offensive three-point percentage. On the other side, New Orleans is third in offensive scoring, second in offensive field goal percentage, and fourth in offensive rebounding. Give me the Pelicans -1 and the under 233.5 in that matchup there. Next game, Blazers. Nuggets, 10:30 tip-off in Denver. Denver open 6.5, total 215. Just seeing a little movement upward on the total to 216 flat. Once again, Denver open and remains -6.5, total open 215 up to 216. 51% are leaning Denver, 76% shaded toward the over. Right now, the Blazers are +205 on the money line. Denver's 32-7 straight up at home, 24-15 against the spread in those ball games. Give me the Nuggets -6 after buying the half a point and the over 216 in that matchup there. Next game, Lakers, Clippers, 10:30 Los Angeles at the Staples Center. The Clippers open -9, total 229.5. We're seeing movement upward on the spread and the total 9.5 and 230. So once again, the Clippers open -9 up to -9.5. Total open 229.5 up to 230. Right now, the Lakers are +375 on the money line. Bullock and Kuzma both questionable for the Lakers. Patrick Beverly questionable for the Clippers. The Clippers are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6. Lakers 7-2 to the under in their last 9. Give me the Clippers -9 after buying the hook and the under 230 in that matchup there. Next and final game, it is going to be Cavaliers Warriors. Did I cap that one? Yeah, I did. Cavaliers Warriors 10:30 Eastern tip-off in Golden State. The Warriors open 16.5, total 227.5. And since those markets opened this one up, we're seeing steady movement downward on both the spread and the total. 16 and 225 and a hook. So once again, the Warriors open 16.5 down to -16. Total open 227.5 down to 225 and a hook. Right now, Cleveland's +1200 on the money line. Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson both questionable for the Cavs. Henson and Dellavedova still out indefinitely. I don't think we'll see them back in action anytime soon. Cleveland is 19-60 overall for the year, 6-34 away from home. Give me the Warriors -16 and the over 225.5 in that matchup there. All right, let's slide into some college basketball. We have one game tonight, and it is the NIT, CBD, CID. No, CBD ended last night. CBI ended last night. But anyway, or did it end last night? These tourneys, I tell you, these tourneys get me all crazy. I get all confused. There's so many of them. But anyway, we have tonight, not these games. The game I'm covering is not even on the marquee.